Today, I wanted to talk about the Chicago Bears' plan to develop Caleb Williams, how Ben Johnson is mentoring our franchise quarterback, the Matthew Stafford influence, and the real reason we signed Case Keenum. All that and more, let's go ahead and get right into it. One of the things that came out over the last couple of weeks is that Ben Johnson is using Matthew Stafford's tape to help develop Caleb Williams as a pocket passer. And while Stafford's name might not be as recognizable as guys like Brady, Manning, and Breeze, he has been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL for a long time, especially at operating within the pocket. He was underrated in Detroit, but he won a Super Bowl with the Rams and spent 2 years with Ben Johnson before that. One of the most interesting tidbits is that Ben Johnson is not only watching Lions film with Caleb Williams, but he's studying Matthew Stafford instead of Jared Goff to show him what he expects out of him in this offense. If you go back and look at Stafford when he was with Detroit, he was a lot more athletic in the pocket, and he's also had that gunslinging mentality as a quarterback. And his style is a lot more similar to Caleb Williams than most people realize. You could even say Caleb is kind of like a more athletic Matthew Stafford. And that's a very interesting comp that I see a lot of similarities in. But not only that, Stafford is the perfect quarterback for Caleb to study. While his gunslinging mentality and playmaking ability are always there, Stafford has also developed into one of the best in the NFL when it comes to the quick passing game and against the blitz, both areas where Caleb Williams could continue getting better. This makes Matthew Stafford a perfect study for our franchise quarterback. And I really like that Ben Johnson is doing this. The next thing I want to talk about is potentially the real reason we signed Case Keenum. He has been mentoring Caleb Williams and teaching him what it's like to be a quarterback in the NFL. And listen, to the people who love to take things out of context, Caleb Williams knows how to watch tape, but as a rookie in the NFL, he expected his coaches to teach him how to do it more effectively. Shane Waldron simply did not do that. We know that during the preseason, Caleb was watching tape with Matt Eberflus because that came out on Hard Knocks, but apparently that did not continue into the season. However, that is not a mistake that Ben Johnson is going to make. Our new head coach has already been watching tape with Caleb Williams, but he's also using Case Keenum as an extension of the coaching staff. CBA rules prevent coaches from spending extra time with quarterbacks outside of organized team activities. So, other than OTAs, Ben Johnson is limited on how much time he can spend with Caleb Williams. But a guy like Case Keenum, he can spend as much time with Caleb as he wants. In effect, Ben Johnson wanted to bring in a guy who could help mentor Caleb Williams and be a coach off of the football field. Interestingly enough, Keenum has never played with Ben Johnson. However, he has worked with lots of young quarterbacks in his career. He also helped mentor Josh Allen, CJ Stroud, Baker Mayfield, and Jared Goff, all quarterbacks who have had a ton of success. Not just about learning the offense, but learning how to live the life of an NFL quarterback, how to read defenses, what to study on film, and so much more. In fact, Jared Goff and some of these other quarterbacks credit Case Keenum with helping them a lot. And I'm sure Ben Johnson already knew this, especially due to his relationship with Jared Goff. But using him as an extension of the coaching staff, basically Ben Johnson teaches Case Keenum, and this allows for Caleb Williams to get more coaching in the offseason. I love this. An additional point here is Case said he was actually really considering retiring before the Bears gave him a call. He's getting a bit older and he's dealt with some injuries last year, but the Bears gave him a call and he said he'd meet with Ben Johnson for what was supposed to be about 15 minutes, but they ended up talking a lot longer than that. He watched film on Caleb and he saw how much potential Caleb Williams has, and that's why Keenum agreed to sign here. In his words, he wants to help build something special in Chicago. To me, I think he's a guy who can battle for that quarterback two job, but he is in the last year of his career potentially. He's a veteran and probably more of a coach on the field, and my money is on Tyson Bagent for QB2. Keenum's experience, veteran leadership make him a guy you can't completely rule out, But my biggest takeaway is that our coaching staff is so legit and they finally are getting it right. It feels like they understand what it takes to develop a quarterback. And bringing in a guy like Case Keenum to be more of a coach off the field is exactly the kind of thing I would expect from Ben Johnson. All of this points towards the Bears getting it right at quarterback and head coach. How do you guys feel about the recent developments with Caleb Williams, and how excited are you to see them finally get on the football field this year? Give me a bear down in the comments. Stay tuned, and until next time, bear down.